I'm never going to have full closure. And the irony for me is I think that's part of the reason why people are still so hooked on this is because they feel they need closure. It's like watching these reality shows or watching a movie and you feel like you need to have this ending, but if it's not the ending that you want, are you ever going to have that sense of closure? I didn't get the ending that I wanted because I didn't get my kid back. That's the only ending I wanted. And that's the one thing I will never get out of all of this. Yeah. It's been hard to cope. Not easier, harder. It's waking up every day and wishing that some days I would wake up and look over and she'd be right there. Sweet little kid. That all of this is just the shittiest bad dream. We all talk about all the things that we have in a lifetime, and I had the shortest life with her. It's so hard to deal with.
Oh, man. All right, Greg, what do you got?
So if I knew Casey Anthony, I could not pay her to say what she said even better. I say this to you guys all the time. If you started this episode with some embedded opinion about whether she's innocent or guilty, and we disagreed with you, you're going to hate us. If we agreed with you, you're going to love us. That's what she said, is people need closure. Like these true crime things, people have gotten to a point where they really believe. So I preach it, sister. Thank you. Thank you for taking care of us. Now let me tell you what I think of you. So the number one thing is some days I miss my little girl. Let me tell you, you miss your child for the rest of your life. Not some days, every day, every day. This is interesting because here's her message, and it's all about her. Look, when we get to closure, I'll wrap up, but I had the shortest time of life with her. What about her? What about the fact she didn't have a life? This is all about self. Everything I've heard, just at the end of this piece, all I want to say is what a crappy parent with father issues. Now, I don't know if her father caused that, if what she's saying is true or not, but man, this one is just awful to watch. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah. So just so you know, while we were off camera, Chase was making fun of me because he thought that I was going to go, oh, we're back to the whole dream sequence thing. He was absolutely right. He was absolutely right. There it is up there. Back to the dream. I hate
Say it, Chase.
I hate you, Chase Hughes.
Say it.
We have come full circle back to the dream state.
Perfect. You're absolutely right. Not only have we come full circle, Chase, it is the snake eating its own tail going on here, because there is somewhat of shall I say a kind of a meta tautology. Let me unwind those words for you, which is there is an irony in her own irony. There is that I won't even try and put my head around it, but it is ironic that she's talking about irony at this point. So it's just extraordinary what's going on. Let me give you a piece of body language, which I just think is just fantastic in this. Notice how she starts adapting the pen that's on the piece of paper. Now, somebody who has experienced a high level of trauma or anxiety with the environment around them, you will often see them start to maneuver objects around and place them in different places. I see it in all kinds of situations where I'm working with somebody who is going through or explaining or is in a situation of high anxiety and traumatic experience, that they start adapting the world and testing out objects and it can look weird from the outside. You can go, wow, why do they keep moving that to there and then back again and then back over here and then back over there? And I think she tries to start that kind of process, that kind of act for us. But all it turns into is a little bit of twisting of the pen, and then she just drops it. She just drops it and she kind of just nudges it around, showing us that the pen has no meaning. She wasn't transferring her anxiety of not being able to control this awful situation of having lost your child. There was no transference of that child into an object and not being able to control that. She's monkeying around with a pen. That's all she's doing, monkeying around with a pen. Absolutely disastrous. Scott, what do you got on this one?
I'm going to go, I'm just going to talk about how they're trying to wrap this up. The only thing she didn't do at the end while she was weeping was smile. You know, if she had done those things, and this is how I just got to get through it myself, you know, that's the only thing that's missing out of this is her breakdown and of her sadness and then smiling through the sadness. Then they could end with that cornball piano thing. I'm not buying it. I didn't buy any of that at all. It's just gross. Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, let me go on a different line. She's still unwilling to name her dad as a perpetrator. This is a huge deal, a huge deal. If her dad was responsible and there's a possibility of finding this out, that means there's a chance for people to have closure that she's talking about. Her hands become open and expressive when she's talking about there never being closure on the horizon for anybody. These gestures and baton movements that she's doing with her hand while she's speaking are mismatched. It's not a major red flag, but it's certainly not representative of honesty. And in this video, she uses the word kid to refer to Kaylee. And she says, I wish it was all a bad dream. I had the shortest life with her. There's fidgeting and adapting and behavior. All of that skyrockets with the pen at this moment. And there's zero desire for justice. There's zero desire for justice, only for people to realize there's no closure, and the perpetrator is always described behind some veil of wax paper that nobody can really see. It's just a figure back there that's just vaguely described to everybody.
I'm never going to have full closure. And the irony for me is I think that's part of the reason why people are still so hooked on this is because they feel they need closure. It's like watching these reality shows or watching a movie and you feel like you need to have this ending, but if it's not the ending that you want, are you ever going to have that sense of closure? I didn't get the ending that I wanted because I didn't get my kid back. That's the only ending I wanted. And that's the one thing I will never get out of all of this. Yeah. It's been hard to cope. Not easier, harder. It's waking up every day and wishing that some days I would wake up and look over and she'd be right there. Sweet little kid. That all of this is just the shittiest bad dream. We all talk about all the things that we have in a lifetime, and I had the shortest life with her. It's so hard to deal with.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.